back in 2022, we got a bombshell report from the Wall Street Journal involving some hush money payments then WWE chairman and founder Vince McMahon made to some women who was working for him at the time. Uh, this triggered an investigation, and it resulted in him stepping down as chairman of WWE. And this is when Stephanie McMahon took over on an interim basis. Nick Khan was also the co-chair, and Triple H was the head of creative content. Vince McMahon, several months later, retook control of WWE and did the one thing that none of us ever thought he would do, and that's sell the company. He sold the company to Ari Emanuel. And WWE merged with the UFC, and in the New York Stock Exchange, it became TKO. If you fast forward to Wednesday, actually not Wednesday, if you fast forward to Thursday, a 67-page lawsuit from a woman came out in regards to that same situation that happened back in 2022 when Vince McMahon was paying women hush money payments to the tune of $12 million. So this article is coming out from the Wall Street Journal, and I will warn you. I'm going to warn you. The stuff that I'm going to say on this video, some people can find it disturbing. The content is graphic. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. So, like I say, the Wall Street Journal reported in June of 2022 that the WWE board was investigating a secret payment from McMahon to a former unnamed employee with whom he allegedly had an affair with. The agreement with Grant came to directors' attention via an anonymous tip. McMahon's attorney at the time said that the relationship was consensual and that the person never accused McMahon of sexual harassment. The following month, the Journal received 3 more agreements that McMahon and the women who he allegedly had sexual misconduct with included a $7.5 million deal with the former WWE wrestler who alleged that McMahon and her had sex through coercion. McMahon and WWE declined to comment on the allegations, but they said the company at the time was taking it seriously. He briefly retired in 2022 following the report of the Wall Street Journal. Later that year, WWE announced the completion of an internal investigation into the payments. Outside counsel from WWE board of directors to conduct the probe ultimately filed payments to women totaling $14.6 million. McMahon, who was the controlling shareholder of WWE, returned to the company in early 2023, elected himself to the board, and replaced several directors. McMahon has faced multiple accusations of sexual misconduct over the years, including a 2006 incident in which an employee at Boca Raton, Florida, tanning salon alleged that McMahon, had groped her. McMahon showed the woman nude photos of himself, tried to kiss her, saying he was only trying to have a little fun, according to the woman's account in the police report. McMahon's lawyer disputed the woman's story. Prosecutors declined to bring a case, citing a lack of evidence. Rita Chatterton, a former WWE referee, accused McMahon of raping her in a limousine in 1986. McMahon has long denied the allegations, with Chatterton first made publicly in a televised interview in the 90s. He agreed to a settlement without admitting any wrongdoing. WWE said in 2023 securities filing that recorded $7.4 million in expenses tied to unidentified claims settled by McMahon around the time he reached the agreement with Sharon. An attorney for McMahon said his client settled with Sharon to avoid the cost of litigation. McMahon recently sold WWE to Endeavor Group, which was owned by Ari Emanuel, brother of Rahm Emanuel, owner of the UFC Mixed Martial Arts League. The deal created a publicly traded company called the TAO Group, or TKO. So it's TKO. WWE and UFC mixed the TKO Group. McMahon was the executive chairman and major shareholder of TKO. Its chief executive is Hollywood power broker Ari Emanuel. Endeavor started with a 51% stake in TKO. McMahon is the company's second largest shareholder, even after selling the stock worth $700 million back in November. The TKO executive team has separated themselves from McMahon in the statement, responding to the woman's allegations. I'll get to her name in a second. While this matter predates our TKO executive tenure at the company, we take these horrific allegations very seriously and are addressing this matter internally, TKO said on Thursday. Now, let's get to the woman who filed this lawsuit against Vince McMahon, right? So, the woman named who made the allegation is Janelle Grant. I'm talking about Vince McMahon, agreed back in 2022 to pay her $3 million in hush money to keep quiet about the relationship. Contained graphic allegations of abuse that she said began soon after they met in 2019. So Janelle Grant alleged that McMahon sexually exploited her, including by sexually assaulting her in WWE offices and trafficking her to other executives and top stars while she worked at the Stamford, Connecticut headquarters from 2019 to 2022. Grant's lawsuit said that McMahon made promises of employment at WWE, showered her with gifts, but over time, McMahon's sexual demands intensified. He defecated on her head during a threesome, forcibly used sex toys on her, and directed her to have sex with John Laurinaitis. John Laurinaitis got fired from the company when all this stuff came out. An executive said, or who was an executive who has since left the company. McMahon also directed her to send explicit photos to a WWE star and attempted to traffic her to the wrestler, who wasn't named in the suit. And the reason why that person's name wasn't listed in the suit, because now you don't want a situation to where it gets countersued for defamation or whatever like that, right? But they say it was a top WWE star and a former UFC champion, and the only name that can come up in that scenario is Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar's name wasn't listed on the report, so don't be surprised if Brock Lesnar does not appear in the Royal Rumble tomorrow night in light of such new developments. In January 2022, hold on. Yeah. In January 2022, the suit said McMahon told Grant that Linda, his wife, had discovered the relationship. He pushed Grant to sign an NDA in return for $3 million. After wiring Grant an initial installment of $1 million, McMahon stopped paying her. Well, and this is why you have the lawsuit. This is why you have the lawsuit. This is the Cassie effect. I talked about how Cassie, sued P. Diddy for all that amount of money because her well was running dry. And what are the odds that this woman who got this $1 million from Vince McMahon, who was supposed to get $3 million, her well ran dry too? And when her well ran dry, that's why you see the this lawsuit. Now, mind you, she already signed the NDA, but the thing was, she filed a now she's alleging sex trafficking. So when you allege sex trafficking, well, that renders that NDA useless, and now we're getting the details and the context of the situation. And she's trying to get money. She's trying to get money. So she feels that since Vince McMahon's not playing ball with her, well, she's going to really bring his name down, and she's going to really drag his name to the mud. And as a result of that, Vince McMahon has stepped down as executive chairman of TKO. So he has no say within WWE. He has no say within TKO. And it makes sense to why he would sell the company, because after these lawsuits were said and done, he would have been done. He's done already, but at least with him being totally out the picture, it's not like he won't go away empty-handed. He will have money. He will sell the remaining shares of his TKO stock, and he will cash out. And he will be, now, mind you, he should face, stiff penalties, jail time over this, but he's going to be allowed to fade into obscurity and fall down the memory hole. But he's going to cash out. They're going to force him to sell whatever shares he has left of his TKO stock, and he's going to cash out, and then he's going to, fade to black. Had he not sold the company, the WWE would have been practically worthless. By the time all these lawsuits get paid out and all that stuff, because one, it was already a publicly traded company. So, the stock prices are going to go down. Any kind of sponsorship that the WWE had would have been gone. Like Slim Jim already pulled their sponsorship from WWE in light of these allegations. No, Slim Jim was one of the official sponsors of the Royal Rumble tomorrow night. But with these new allegations coming out now with this woman and Vince McMahon, yeah, they pulled their name from that. They don't want no association with that. You say, is it John Laurinaitis Roy? No, he's not. He's the brother of Roy Animal, but he's not. He's not actual Roy Animal. He's not. He's the brother. But anywho, so yeah, Vince McMahon, he done. I mean, so that woman basically hit a finishing move on you, and they basically, got you down for the 1, 2, 3. So you're done. You're done. That would explain why he wouldn't give the company to his kids or whatever like that, because he had all this freaky stuff going on. And if y'all remember during the Attitude Era, right? If y'all remember the Attitude Era when he was, acting in character as Mr. McMahon, and this power hungry individual who abused his power and made people look bad on the camera and all that. And there was one particular segment in WWE when he was acting in character as Mr. McMahon, and he had this thing called the Kiss My Ass Club. He had a litany of superstars, male and female, that he would drop his drawers and he would make people literally kiss his ass. The Kiss My Ass Club. So if he was willing to do that kind of stuff in front of the camera, then it kind of makes you think, given this woman's lawsuit and given the details of this lawsuit, of the wilder shit he was doing behind the scenes. If he was willing to drop his drawers to make people kiss his ass on camera. Imagine what this motherfucker was doing behind the scenes, man. Then, if you also think about a segment, it was Edge, Lita, back in 2006 when Edge was the rated R superstar WWE champion after he won the championship from John Cena after cashing in that Money in the Bank contract on them. And they had that steamy, little sex scene right there in the middle of the ring with Edge and Lita. And then it was reported that John Cena and Edge tried to talk Vince McMahon out of that segment, but he was insistent that that segment went on as scheduled. Yeah, this motherfucker is a freak. This dude is a freak. So, So, given this woman's lawsuit, this thing makes a bunch of sense. This is a 67-page lawsuit. Now, the introduction here says this. Plaintiff Janelle Grant is a former employee of WWE who was the victim of physical, emotional abuse, sexual assault, and sex trafficking within WWE. She's filing this lawsuit not just to address her own suffering, but also to act for those who are afraid to speak out. WWE billionaire founder and executive chairman, defendant Vincent K. McMahon, lived in a penthouse duplex in Mrs. Grant apartment building. The two met in March of 2019 when Ms. Grant was dealing with profound grief and struggling financially after devoting years to around-the-clock caregiving. Her parents passing away. On top of that, she was unemployed and her family was lost in her parents' bankruptcy. Or the family's home was lost in the bankruptcy. After her family passed away, Miss Grant dedicated herself to finding gainful employment. Neighbors in her building provided career advice and saw her assistance with personal events. Miss Grant used these non-paying rules and volunteer roles. I'm sorry, not rules. These non-paying roles and volunteer work and community initiatives to build her resume. The building's resident manager wanted to help. She messaged McMahon, Mr. McMahon, to ask whether or not he would talk to her, sharing that Ms. Grant had been through hardship and would do great things if given a fresh start. McMahon enthusiastically responded, "Hell yeah." So Mr. McMahon befriended Miss Grant, gave her hopes of a new life with promises of a yet-to-be-determined role at WWE, and would shower her with attention and assurances, along with gifts like a VIP experience at WrestleMania. But what may seem like a dream in the spring of 2019 quickly became a nightmare. Now, at this point, she's not working for WWE. She's not working at all. She's trying to find gainful employment. So she doesn't work for McMahon. So as this thing progresses, you're going to see what I'm talking about as to this endeavor. As McMahon dangled career-making and life-changing promises in front of Ms. Grant, he also demonstrated an increasing lack of boundaries. During several meetings that were ostensibly about a potential job at WWE, he greeted her in his underwear, touched her, repeatedly asked for hugs, and spent hours sharing intimate details about his personal life. McMahon warned Ms. Grant to keep their closeness secret, lest rumors led to public trouble, and added that while he protects loyal people, he had world-class legal resources on speed dial to people who became a problem. As such, when Mr. McMahon pushed Ms. Grant for a physical relationship in turn for a promised employment in WWE, she felt trapped in an impossible situation, submitting to his sexual demands or facing ruin. Okay, so you mean to tell me that you're not working for Vince McMahon, but you felt trapped, you got to make that make sense. How you felt trapped when you don't even work for the guy? Hey, I got this employment right here. How bad you want it? How bad you want to be vice president of WWE? Well, I really don't want to do it, but I just, I really need this job, Mr. McMahon. Well, I mean, how bad you want it? How bad you want this job? And she decides to succumb to his demands or whatever so she can get a job. But you felt trapped. Okay, the fuck out of here. After succumbing to the pressure of a physical relationship, Ms. Grant was slotted into an entry-level position as an administrative coordinator, a position Mr. McMahon created for her in WWE's legal department. She began work in that role on June 17th, 2019. So let me get this straight. So you've been carrying on a sexual relationship with Vince McMahon for 3 months. You met the man in March 2019, and you finally got employment in June 2019, but you felt trapped? Okay, all right, y'all. Anyway, Miss Grant remained in that role with the exception of a temporary relocation to the XFL until McMahon verbally directed her to transfer to the talent relations department, reported to defendant John Laurinaitis on March 9, 2021. During the conversation that day, McMahon explained that her presence in the legal department was effectively delaying efforts to hire a new general counsel for the company. McMahon and Laurinaitis informed Ms. Grant that she would be promoted to Vice President of Operations in the Talent Relations Department, provided her with an organizational chart reflecting this decision. Shortly thereafter, they informed her that they needed her to begin at a lower level as a director, but promised her promotion to Vice President after a 12-month period. So basically, all the stuff I was reading just now, as far as like McMahon promised her promotion and all that stuff, this is where he made the mistake. This is where Vince McMahon made the mistake. Not only you promised her, but you provided her an organizational chart of where she's going to be at within the company. Yeah, that's where you fucked up, Vince McMahon. But anyway, despite Miss Grant's expressions of unhappiness and attempts to end the sexual relationship, and while she came to the understanding that McMahon expressed or expected the physical relationship to continue as part of her employment, she had no idea how sore it would become, nor how psychological torture or physical violence would leave her feeling helpless, isolated, and trapped. In March 2020, McMahon began sharing sexually explicit photographs and videos of Miss Grant with other men inside and outside the company, including members of the television production tech team, executives, producers, and a world-famous athlete and former UFC heavyweight champion with WWE, or with whom WWE was trying to sign to a new contract. And that individual name is Brock Lesnar. Even though it didn't say it in the lawsuit, but the individual's name we're talking about here is Brock Lesnar. Given McMahon's omnipotent position in WWE, coercion was inherent to his increasingly depraved sexual demands. So specifically, while McMahon was CEO of WWE and Ms. Grant was employed as an entry-level coordinator in the legal department, McMahon recruited individuals to have sexual relations with Ms. Grant and or with two of them, directed Ms. Grant to visit defendant Laurinaitis prior to the start of the workdays for sexual encounters, and expected and directed Ms. Grant to engage in sexual activity at WWE headquarters even during working hours. What the fuck is going on with shit? Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. This is crazy. What's up, Reef? Salute to my man Reef, the watcher in the building. This shit is crazy. Y'all having sex during working hours? No wonder you can't get. No wonder we can't get no decent storylines and all that. Because all the good storylines are happening in the goddamn Stafford, Connecticut offices. No wonder we were getting shoddy WWE content on TV because all the good shit was happening behind the scenes. This shit crazy, man. Anyway, at this time, McMahon ordered Ms. Grant to keep their relationship secret unless otherwise instructed, including lying to maintain whatever cover stories he fabricated. McMahon's assertions that Ms. Grant was safe and independent rang hollow in the light of efforts to isolate her from friends and attempts to chip away at her identity until it was replaced with his desired role for her as bitch or as his bitch, his fantasy, and or his porn star, while occasionally intermixing softer descriptors like his girlfriend and baby and even love when convenient. His exercise complete ownership and control over her, both her personal and professional lives. McMahon was also subjected to Ms. Grant to extreme acts of cruelty and degradation that caused Ms. Grant to disassociate and or become numb to reality in order to survive the horrific encounters. And as one example of McMahon's extreme depravity on not March 9th, May 9th, 2020, he defecated on Ms. Grant during a threesome and then commanded her to continue pleasuring his friend with feces and her hair running down her back, while McMahon went to the bathroom to shower off. Upon his return to the bathroom, McMahon and his friend actively resumed the threesome, which lasted over an hour and a half, while Miss Grant remained covered in Mr. McMahon's filth. When McMahon's friend left, McMahon ordered her to stay and continue the sexual or order her to sexually gratify him. So let me get this straight. You mean to tell me you dumped on this girl, you go shower up, you and your friend continue this wham bam thank you man for an hour and a half, and then after the friend leaves, you still what the fuck? And you know what? That would explain why this dude was out here calling himself the genetic jackhammer. That's exactly why Vince McMahon was sitting up here calling himself the genetic jackhammer on TV. I'm not going to read any more of this because this is way too grisly, even for me, right? This is way too grisly, even for me. So I'm not going to read any more of this stuff. TKO did the right call by getting this man up out of here. Because, like I say, they already lost Slim Jim as a sponsor for the Royal Rumble tomorrow night. They already, this is going to leave a massive stain on the company, especially with TKO and Ari Emanuel and all that. I told y'all back then this was a man. This is crazy. So you already have Vince McMahon on one side, who's out here doing this stuff, and then on the other side, you had Dana White, who's out here beating his wife on camera. This is why Dana White didn't get on the board of directors. So, mm-mm-mm. So you got a situation to where Vince McMahon brought this woman on through sexual deviancy, and the minute that Vince McMahon fired her, she was going to file this lawsuit, and that's exactly what happened. No matter it would have been a year from now, right, with the Cassie incident, or in Bill Cosby, like 40 years afterwards, these women now are filing these lawsuits. So if you was a sexual deviant, and more likely or not, you're going to get a lawsuit. I still don't understand why would they go after him from a criminal aspect. If this woman, alleging all the stuff that Vince McMahon did to her and the sex trafficking and all that, it needs to be more than just, oh, I need to be kicked off financially. This should be prison time if proven. And like I say, all this stuff is just allegations. But so nothing has been proven in court yet. But you also have to know that this will create a massive stain on the company ahead of is one of its most important premium live events tomorrow night in the Royal Rumble. So this is, man. So he had to get up out of there. There's no way that back when he was the end all be all in WWE, right? Vince McMahon would just let money time and money would make this stuff go away. Yeah, it might be in the headlines for a couple days or so, but eventually it will fall down the memory hole, and we will continue on with whatever event the WWE was throwing at the time, like nothing happened. Because whoever forget the Balco incident in '94 in the mid '90s, when steroid use was a thing, right? And WWE, was one of the companies at the center of all these all these um steroid use and all that stuff, because they were suspected to have wrestlers taking steroids and stuff. And, eventually, McMahon took a black eye on his image. Hulk Hogan took a black eye on his image, but that thing was allowed to fall down the memory hole. So you gotta let me know what y'all think about this. This is crazy. I mean, of all the wild stories I've read when it comes to these type of incidents or whatever like that, this has to rank up there as the wildest, the most craziest and cringeworthy incidents I've read yet. Now, if you're not subscribing to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Last but definitely not least, shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Hurt.